Male jealousy, a complex and multifaceted phenomenon from a psychological perspective. Male jealousy is often a manifestation of insecurity, low self-esteem, and a desire to boost one's self-worth. In other words, a man may perceive his woman as a means to affirm his value. If I have a great woman next to me, I am good. However, men often explain their behavior as love, willingness to fight for the relationship, and a desire to protect their partner from thoughtless or foolish actions. Women, on the other hand, often believe that jealousy is a sign of how much they mean to a man and how much he loves them. Therefore, jealousy is perceived as an expression of feelings, even if it often reflects inner insecurity and fear of losing the object of affection. Hence, a confusion arises. Cultural stereotypes and beliefs shape people's ideas that the absence of jealousy signifies indifference, while its presence indicates genuine love. Many think, if there's no jealousy, then there's no real love, and this idea sometimes leads to a vicious cycle. People consciously or subconsciously provoke conflicts and conflict situations, considering them a normal, or even obligatory part of love. But what happens when a man is jealous not of his own woman? Why does this occur? How to understand this phenomenon? Let's analyze it with specific examples. Male jealousy towards a third-party woman. Real situations. Example 1. A girl recounts that recently a man noticed her and wrote to her on Contact, a social network. They started communicating because she was not in a serious relationship. Over time, her interlocutor became persistent. Asking where she was, who she was with, started sending profiles of her acquaintances. He began suspecting which of them might be her admirer, liked her photos, and asked if there was something more than friendship. When she expressed her displeasure, he said that if she communicates with him, then she shouldn't have other men, and demanded to remove everyone from her friends list. When she refused, he got angry and started insulting her, calling her names and accusing her of being promiscuous, claiming she seeks benefit from different guys. In his mind, a real woman is the one surrounded only by one man and doesn't have male friends. Example 2. A girl was introduced to a man by a friend, who claimed they were a perfect couple. They started hanging out. The first weeks were sweet, but gradually the guy began to control her. Asking where she was, with whom, what she was doing, demanding video calls, and showing open jealousy, insisting she delete contacts and forbidding her to communicate with others. The girl was afraid. She was not his wife or committed partner, just wanted to get to know a new acquaintance. But this very situation triggered his jealousy. He perceived her as a potential rival, a threat to his status. Why do men experience jealousy not toward their own woman? Analyzing such situations reveals an obvious conclusion. One of the main reasons is fear of competition. Primary reasons for jealousy towards a third-party woman. Fear of competition and loss of status. Men can feel threatened by other men's presence, even if the person in question isn't their wife or usual partner. In their mind, conquering and competition are the main obstacles to strengthening their position. Fear of rejection by the woman or the relationship. People fear investing time, energy, and emotions and ending up with nothing if it leads to losing the opportunity to be with the woman or gain recognition. The mechanism of the fear of competition and rejection. Low self-esteem and fear of rejection are the primary driving forces of jealousy. A confident man does not experience this internal fear and does not perceive other men nearby as threats to his position. A man with low self-esteem, on the contrary, believes I'm not good enough, and fears that he could be replaced if a competitor appears. Basically, he tries to eliminate the competitor to avoid facing potential rejection. The stronger his internal fear, the more obsessive and controlling his behavior becomes. Ineffective investments. Most often, people are afraid of ineffective investments because they have experienced losses. Delving into the root causes of this problem could occupy endless hours, but there's little point in doing so. Perhaps, as children, they conformed, adjusted, and did what their parents told them, but in return, they never received the proper level of presence, support, and attention. They deprived themselves of individuality, but ultimately lost. Alternatively, they may have had a sad experience with women. Again, they conformed, adjusted, pursued, achieved, spent time, and most likely money, but in the end, were left with nothing. Such people are haunted by irrational escalation. They invest so much, see no results, and quitting seems foolish because of the waste they've already put in. Deep causes of unjustified jealousy in relationships. The situation is clear, and the underlying foundation is obvious. However, there are deeper reasons that few pay attention to, though they are the true starting point. First, you need to honestly talk with yourself to understand which justification for this strange behavior applies to you personally. Based on that, you can start adjusting your approach to dating and relationships. Shifting focus to yourself. The first step is to shift your attention to yourself. The core issue of low self-esteem is tying your worth to external objects. It's a form of compensation, where your psyche decides that you, as a person, are not so great, but you can balance this by relying on someone else's significance. Remember the joke that the more cars a man has, the smaller his genitalia? Well, that's the same principle. Once you find value within yourself, you'll stop thinking that betrayal or rejection by a woman somehow defines you. Even if infidelity occurs, of course, it's unpleasant, you won't feel diminished. You will understand that it doesn't make you a worse person and doesn't affect your qualities. Thus, a partner's infidelity simply becomes a fact, something you accept or choose to end the relationship over. You may regret the breakup, but you won't feel like a cuckold, a fool, or worthless. The idea of jealous suspicion toward your partner in this state wouldn't even cross your mind. Understanding the true meaning of competition. If the absence of competition led to anything good, there wouldn't be antitrust agencies. At first glance, it might seem excellent to drive competitors off the market and become the sole supplier of bread in town. You could even get rich. No need to spend on advertising, invent new things, your profit is guaranteed. A fairy tale. In reality, such a situation leads to a sharp decline in quality. While profit is high and you don't want to lose it, you stop investing in improvements. Meanwhile, your audience isn't loyal, they're only there because there are no alternatives. People will either reduce their consumption because they don't like your product, like stop eating bread, or they'll seek a replacement, which they'll eventually find. With this monopolistic approach, you, too, may become arrogant. No matter how good your intentions, that's how psychology works, and nothing can change it. Once in my city, there was only one internet provider, and they charged 1024 rubles for 1 megabit per second. As other providers entered the market, prices dropped to 200 rubles. I still refuse to deal with, considering it a horrible company. That's the result of monopoly. The same applies to relationships. Avoiding competition results in a similar process. The ideal scenario is when a woman has options but chooses you among all. That indicates a certain value. She loves you for specific qualities. Healthy relationships begin with mutual attraction based on that. Both could have dated others, but they ended up together by choice. Therefore, chasing after suitors from the very beginning is shooting yourself in the foot. Confident men choose those who are in demand, those who attract attention, have many suitors, receive many offers. This is the most effective model because, firstly, you receive a valuable prize, and secondly, that prize has chosen you. More details on this topic were discussed in the article Why You Shouldn't Start Relationships with Someone Who's Feeling Down. If you enter a relationship because there are no other options, what about if you're in a relationship just because in a place with no fish, even a crab is a fish? Does that mean your value is non-existent? Not necessarily. Your worth is not determined solely by the relationship. Once you have options and self-confidence, you won't cling to a partner just because you're afraid of being alone. If a better option comes along, shall leave. The same applies if you artificially eliminate competitors, by forbidding her to communicate, intimidating, manipulating, or isolating her. Then, you'll have to either resort to force to keep her or seek psychological help and complain about your unfair fate, where women are all treacherous traitors. In conclusion, jealousy toward your girlfriend who isn't yours is unhealthy. However, do not interpret that as a negative assessment of yourself. A guy can be interesting, reasonable, and self-sufficient, but currently in an unstable state. There are self-esteem issues and beliefs holding you back from finding balance and resources within yourself. From a psychological perspective, starting a relationship under such conditions is highly inadvisable. There is no genuine communication, mutual attraction, or respect, only emotional violence and attempts to satisfy one's needs at the expense of another. It's not about resource exchange but about taking resources to patch holes in your soul. That path leads straight to abuse, and if you want to avoid ending up there, leave now.